Welcome everyone to another special episode of the Caravan Tour of Terror, a show that finds us touring the globe through the medium of horrific, chilling and disturbing entertainment. My name's Donald and I'm the driver on this quest. Joining me at my side, as always, with Road Atlas on his lap and another bumper selection of delayed Halloween viewing is my navigator Ali. Say hello, Ali.
Hello. Halloween's in November, isn't it?
Yes, well, once again, this is a bit late and a bit unstructured. We watched 7 films over the Halloween weekend, which for us was in the middle of November. And I've basically copied these sentiments from last year when exactly the same thing happened. I think we maybe did it in December last year, so we're getting better.
Yeah, we're getting better. By 2026, we should be on
We'll release it fucking All Hallows Eve, bang, straight out. So 7 films, we're here to talk about them. It's a bit off the cuff, and if we misremember something, no one panic, all right? No one panic. Don't panic, Alistair.
I won't panic, I promise.
Thank you. Christ. So the first movie we watched was Dear David.
Dear David, the 2023 film, which sees BuzzFeed worker Adam begins experiencing strange occurrences in his apartment.
Is this a BuzzFeed thing? Oh, that's interesting.
It's a BuzzFeed thing. Well, he tries to uncover the truth behind his torment. His boss believes he's doing it all for content for the website. Tensions with his friends and boyfriend cause Adam to become increasingly unstable. Dear David. Dear David, so I was the only one of the 4 of us that had actually seen the Dear David thread that inspired this movie.
First film we've ever covered that's based on a Twitter thread.
Yep. Stay tuned for much more. So I actually followed the Twitter thread, and it was well done, to be honest. It was for a Twitter thread, it really exactly.
It's such an impossible reference point for most people.
Yes. So he had his Twitter thread, and it was basically about him having dreams about a deformed child that began tormenting him more and more in real life, and it was things like, oh, my cats are doing weird stuff. Oh, there seems to be something outside my
and you see this in the film
door.
Obviously, it's obviously.
I'm just giving the run through.
Yeah.
And strangely, Adam Ellis does not work for BuzzFeed anymore, and hadn't by the time this movie got into production. So either he had a terrible contract.
Well,
with BuzzFeed
probably. I'm sure BuzzFeed probably owned the rights to anything. Well,
but it was on his
tweets,
personal Twitter thread. So yeah, unless he had a really bad contract, he probably got a decent payout for this.
Yeah.
And thank Christ.
Why?
Because usually we save our reviews for the end, but Dear David is a shit show. Amazingly, they got Justin Long in this movie.
Yeah. For a film produced by BuzzFeed, it makes BuzzFeed seem like a corporate hellhole.
It really does.
What was it? The line? It was like, at BuzzFeed, we're family. Said unironically, it seemed.
There's a weird there's weird moments where it's like really amping up, like BuzzFeed's just such a great place and we're all family and we care about each other, and then other times it's like, we need the clicks, guys. We need the clicks.
We need
that's
engagement.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Yeah, it's like it gets really, really like fucking clickbait hellhole. I'm not going to go too much through this plot because
no, we don't need to go through the plot at all.
Totally.
Just we've got 7 movies to cover in short shrift, so we could just talk about our general impressions of it. It was shit. I mean, we were watching it knowing it was going to probably be shit because it didn't review well, and we were like, let's start off our marathon of 7 movies with something that's a bit shit, because we like watching shit things sometimes.
Yeah.
Personally, I was like, that'll make everything else seem slightly better, so maybe take that into consideration. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it certainly did. I stood on a rusty nail and it made it seem much better.
It's your very stereotypical scare moments and like special effects aren't particularly convincing, but it weirdly spends a lot of time on Adam. Is Adam, isn't it? You said Adam, I'm sure. And
Yes,
his
Adam.
like relationship, his personal relationships, and how he's losing the plot slightly, and it's affecting his personal life. But it does that too much. I felt when we were watching, we were like, "Oh my god, it's just a lot." But then it can't win either way, because when it tried to be scary, it also didn't work. So I don't know what I want from it.
I think it's one of those it's very much like shit my dad says. It's how do you turn that into a movie?
Is that
And the answer is you don't.
is that
to be
that
honest,
sitcom?
yeah, the one with William Shatner in it, based on the
Yes,
Twitter,
that's the
based on the
one.
Twitter
Right.
account.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Don't. Did this make money? I have no idea. I'm going to say no.
I don't have any, so I'm going to say no. It doesn't have budget or box office here.
Well, I was looking. I tried to find little titty bits for each film, and the trivia I found for Dear David was Adam wears at least 2 versions of the Ovik knit sweater by Fjärraven. So you know,
You could have made that up, and I would have had the same amount.
I mean, I
of belief
definitely
in it.
mispronounced it for comedic effect, but otherwise, well, who knows? Because I've talked before about how the IMDb trivia section, it contains total made-up bollocks at times. But so don't shoot me if I'm wrong about the jumpers, all right? But I mean, there's not much to talk about with it. It's not fun bad, I will say that.
No, it was a bit of a slog.
We checked the runtime.
It's 95 minutes.
But
total.
when did we not check how far in we were? And it was about 35 minutes.
Yeah, and we felt it'd been about an hour plus. I will say that we have an extremely tangential knowledge relationship with the director who, John McPhail, Scottish director who previously directed Anna and the Apocalypse, a relatively well received Christmas zombie musical, based off a short film from one of the friends of the people we watched these movies with. So he, our friend, had a lot to say about this. It definitely seems like director for hire kind of thing. Like Anna and the Apocalypse was a much more like passion project. Not necessarily for him, I'm saying, but it seemed a much more like...
Oh, I'm sure BuzzFeed had their stinky mitts all up in this production.
Yeah. So
it was probably it probably started off as some kind of satire of the cliques, and then they added in the no. Can we say that we really care about our workers though when they're going through a tough time?
Especially since didn't they just have massive layoffs last year or this year? Yeah, like gutted most of their staff. We're family, Justin Long. So I'm trying to think what I would give this, and it's somewhere between a 2 and a 3. It is not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life, despite what other people we were watching it with said. It is very, like, we watched A Cloud So High.
I was going to say, the other people that we watched with had also seen that, and that was worse to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things, it's the very extreme point of view of if the movie's bad enough, it's a 1, and I don't agree with that. Like, is it a complete shit show, like, top to bottom? Almost, but not quite. So I'm probably, like... Looking back, it was probably a 3 at the time, but I've probably dropped it down to a 2 just because looking back on it, it was just so ill-conceived.
Yeah. I think I gave A Cloud So we have to. That's our benchmark there.
It really is.
I think I gave A Cloud So High a 2. Did I? It wasn't a 1.
I think I gave it a 1.
I might have given it a 1. I'm not sure. I probably give it. I'll give this a 3.
Okay. Yeah, and that's totally fair. Like, yeah,
it's unfun.
I think I've just soured on it as time has gone.
God, I would never watch it again. I would never watch it.
No, and I would also never suggest someone watch it even for fun. It's not that type of movie.
No one should ever watch this for any reason whatsoever. No. Yeah, so that a bit of a bust, because when we watch bad movies, we try to have fun with them, and this was an absolute hellish slog.
Mm-hmm. Which was a great start when we knew we had 6 more movies to go. Leading us to number 2.
Yes, The Conference.
The Conference, another 2023 movie. At a company retreat for team building and celebrating their new project, a group of public sector employees have to contend with their own internal strife, but a mass killer is picking them off one by one.
The Conference. So, this is a comedy horror.
Yep. Swedish?
Swedish comedy horror, and it's I think almost immediately we're like, this is a bit like Severance, isn't it?
that was my I said that about 3 times. But I don't remember
a lot. I don't really remember a lot about Severance.
So when
Danny Dyer's in that one, isn't he?
Danny Dyer's in that one,
but he's in Shrooms as well, isn't he?
I don't think he's in Shrooms.
Oh, okay. I thought he was in Shrooms as well. That's also British. I'm getting those.
I think that's actually Irish.
Oh shit! Oh no! I'm sorry. I know the difference. Severance is also like a work retreat, though, isn't it?
Yeah, Severance was one of those movies that I had on DVD when I was 14. Right.
Oh, so and I was a bit naughty with some violence, maybe a tit or two.
You're a bit of a tit or two. So I've watched Severance more than once, which is probably more than you really need to watch Severance. It's actually a fine movie. It's not actually see for a Danny Dyer movie. It's not actually that bad. It's got Tim. Oh, I always get his name wrong. McKillenary.
McKinnery or something. Blackadder guy.
Blackadder guy. Yeah, it's got him in it as well, and it does the comedy horror really well. Mm-hmm. But genuinely, about 3 times during this movie, I was like, "That's from Severance. That's from Severance." And I don't believe at all that these two movies, one was taking off the other. It's just very similar.
I mean, it's a good setup for a comedy horror, really, because you can do a lot with the situation.
Exactly.
For both sides.
I would say I had a lot of fun with this movie. It hits its comedy and horror quite evenly and pretty well, to be honest. All the actors give really good performances. You've got your, super driven company man, and you hate him. You hate him, and he does a great job of just bringing out the vitriol in you.
Your weasel.
Oh, no. The weasel is the other one. That's remember his little subordinate?
Yes.
So, you've got a good breadth of characters as well as age ranges. You've got your older,
your Stanley Hudsons and your
Phyllises.
Yes.
You've got your Stanley and your Phyllis. Absolutely, and they play their parts to perfection. There's even a great fight scene between your Stanley Hudson and the killer.
The killer's got a good amount. The horror's still good. It's bloody enough, and he's quite menacing. Don't know. I mean, he does have a lot of personality.
No. He wears a quite ridiculous costume that is stolen from it's like a kind of mascot from the
company.
Retreat. And he is basically just your big hulking silent killer.
Yeah, they give him a little bit of backstory. It's not like a random, he's
totally,
just lives to kill.
And that does enough to justify all of it. It's not just completely random murder. They sprinkle in that backstory enough that you're like, okay, there's reason behind this. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, yeah. I thought I said it's perfectly capable and better than fine. It's good. I don't think it's not going to be anyone's favorite movie. No one's going to love it, but it ticks along nicely. It was lovely and refreshing. Were you about to rate it? Sorry.
No, I think I was going to say one more thing that I've completely forgotten now.
Well, while you do that...
just the kills are also well done. Like each, because that's when you're looking at especially a comedy horror like this. What you're wanting is fun deaths.
Yeah.
Interesting deaths. And it does that well. Like moments where you're kind of recoiling, but in fun disgust. As well.
That's kind of what you want from any slasher movie as well. To be fair.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't want just like stab. We're done.
Yeah.
They do a really good job of like mixing up the way that each of them are picked off.
Yeah.
And then going on to the rating, I would probably give it a 7. I don't think it's quite good enough, quite memorable enough to be an 8. But it is a very like recommendable 7.
Yeah. I'd say the same, I think. It's good. It's on Netflix.
Yes, I believe so.
I had to fucking rent Dear David off Amazon Prime. But The Conference is on Netflix, and it's definitely one of the better films on Netflix. It is Swedish and subtitled, which will obviously reduce its audience massively in English-speaking countries. But anyway, it's definitely good. Oh, and I will say, my piece of trivia, the ad for the municipality. That sounds wrong when we both say it. As in, it sounds like we're both saying it. The ad for the whatever.
It's because you're not hitting that U.
Municipality. The ad for the municipality that they play and then criticise for being potentially racist is a direct reference to a real ad that the real Swedish municipality of Staffanstorp made, featuring white people being harassed by darker-skinned inner-city youths only to then move to a safe neighbourhood where all the actors appear to be white. And might I say, we're not alleging anything against the Swedish municipality of Staffanstorp.
No,
I'd love for them to come for us, the Swedish municipality of Staffanstorp.
So you've pissed off the Irish, you've pissed off the Swedes. Who's next?
Listen,
you've pissed off BuzzFeed.
Yeah, no, I don't care about BuzzFeed. They can come for us. Taken from IMDb, no idea if it's true. We should Google it afterwards.
And I will say that is actually quite a good moment.
That is very funny.
Like because it's not, it isn't like completely overt in the ad itself.
Yeah,
and
it just gets you going.
But then the characters do the same thing. Like
you
know, the better, nicer of the characters are like, this seems a bit fucked. And they're like, just quiet, don't worry about it.
It sets out your characters pretty well early on.
That is one thing with so many characters. It does a great job of giving each of them a good personality. Like they are individuals, not just fodder to be murdered.
Yeah. So good. Things we're looking up. What?
Did you rate it?
I said same as you, so 7.
Same as me.
Yeah. Next up was Influencer.
2022. Social media influencer Madison is living a life of luxury as she travels in Thailand. She meets CW, another woman staying at her hotel. While CW shows her a more carefree way of living, her intentions are much darker than Madison realizes. I should do that for 11. I should rate these for 11.
So, Influencer. Based on the title, you can probably guess everything this film's trying to say, because it really hits all those little points about influencer lifestyles being shallow, and then it kind of I suppose that's more like the first half of the movie, then it kind of becomes something else. I suppose that'd be fair to say. This is more of your thriller rather than horror mystery, which is what it's billed as, I would say.
It's definitely more of a thriller. It's I will say it's well done. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, they filmed in really nice places.
I mean, absolutely. But also the shots they get of these really nice places really add to the kind of influencer lifestyle,
Yeah.
that luxury with that kind of tint behind
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Thailand looks very nice.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an influencer there, but Thailand looks
No,
very
because
nice.
fucked up things might happen.
Yeah.
Don't say no more. Don't ruin anything.
Yeah. No, it's a lovely happy movie.
I don't have a lot to say about influencers, to be honest, because it's like it's fine. It's fine. It's a passing grade.
Yeah, it totally is.
It's also. I mean, the plot is you can't. Bad to spoil it, so it's like fucking. I don't know.
And it is relatively predictable.
Yeah,
as the moments go through.
Mostly, although I think there was a bit of there was still a wee bit of like, a little bit.
Yeah, they throw in a couple red herrings.
The first hour, we knew probably pretty much what was going to happen almost immediately. We were like, right. And
We
then,
also guessed the last 10 minutes.
well, that was me guessing it, and I'm particularly clever, so you know. He's pulling faces on a podcast. This is the kind of cretin I have to deal with, but it's fine. What I said about it at the time, I was jotting down my little thoughts, was it's perfectly passable, it's plot and execution, but you won't remember much of it after the fact. Accurate. Because I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's on Shudder, which is weird.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like horror mystery was because Shudder picked it up on the cheap or something. I don't know why. Like, it reminded me of remember in Fright Fest when we saw was it called The Quarry? And it was that film about
friends,
and then
I think that one was in Argentina.
Yeah. Yes.
They go down, they get drunk.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
Definitely. Yeah. That film. That's the kind of same thing. These films aren't really horror. They're not really. They're thrillers.
No. And we've talked about that extensively about how nebulous the genre is. But you can often...
You know when you see it.
Yeah, you definitely know. You definitely get that thing of like, oh, right, okay, this is not that type of...
Yeah, this should just be on Netflix and then it would do totally fine. In fact, I think being on Shudder probably hurt this film because if it was on Netflix, I think more people would watch it because, you know...
Because it is totally like it actually seems like a Netflix movie.
Yeah,
like it would fit so well.
And an okay one. Yeah, and an okay one. Like
yeah. What would you give it?
Passing grade of 6. I don't think 5's a passing grade. 5 means I think 6. Just.
Yeah, to be honest, I'm between a 6 and a 7.
All right, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I did enjoy it. I think it's well done.
No, but you gave the conference a 7.
Exactly, and that's why I'm between.
I
think this one's a 6. But it is like it's much like you. It's like a passing grade.
We did enjoy. Like we enjoyed it.
Exactly.
We were watching it, we weren't bored.
It does exactly what it sets out to do. Does it well, but it's nothing special.
Yeah. The trivia for Influencer is annoying. I bet you can guess what it is. CW's birthmark is not a makeup effect. Actress Cassandra, I don't know how to pronounce her last name, Naud? Node? I don't know what letters are silent there. Was born with a large nevus under her right eye. Thanks.
A nevus is a mole, by the way. Just
Thanks, IMDb trivia guy. This is the only piece of IMDb trivia, and I looked at it and went, what the fuck is the point of saying that for trivia? Are they going to say that for every movie she's in? It's stupid. Yeah. At least it does slightly factor into because obviously it's about Influencer, and she's got a birthmark on her face, so obviously it's commenting on that a bit, but still. Do better, IMDb trivia people.
I also don't feel that it actually does play in. Like, the
it does a little bit.
Thought,
yeah. It plays with the expectations of it.
Exactly.
A little bit. Yeah.
But it's not made an overt part of her
character
it's not. Of like, I'm doing this because.
Yeah.
Which I actually think's better, because that would have been not a great route to take.
I was very worried. I was like, oh my god, they better not be doing this.
Yeah. So...
Anyway. Next up was In My Mother's Skin.
In My Mother's Skin, 2023. During World War II in the Philippines, a family tries to survive as they face starvation and the increasingly serious illness of the mother. The young daughter seeks out a mysterious woodland fairy to help heal her mother. But the cost is much more severe for her family than the young girl realizes. I just ended 2 in a row with the word realizes.
Maybe you're not as good at that as you thought you were.
Damn it! Well, usually they wouldn't be read out one after another.
So period set Filipino horror that everyone and
Your
their
bog
mother,
standard, they're 10 a penny.
well, everyone and their mother says is reminiscent of Pan's Labyrinth. And it is, because it centers on a... No, I know. Because it centers on a young girl and her encounters with a magical creature against the backdrop of a war.
Yeah.
It is. It is reminiscent of it. Go on, say your piece.
I would say that The Conference and Severance are more similar than In My Mother's Skin and Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. It's two sides of the same coin, just to throw out a meaningless phrase and see what happens.
Yeah, they both might have the same elevator pitch.
Yeah. Pros, like things I like about In My Mother's Skin. No, that sounds like I'm going to say things that I dislike after. I'm not actually going to. So the actress playing the young girl is very good. Did you not think? I'm sure we were both impressed.
No, absolutely. In fact, both the children do an excellent job in this movie.
Yeah, good child actors, which is
really good child actors.
Pretty much a miracle.
Yeah. It's they are the centerpiece of this movie.
Yep. Yeah.
Especially the young girl, and she knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
What a performance.
And it's obviously they have to deal with a lot of adversity and harrowing situations.
I will say, this movie is brutal.
Yeah.
This movie is brutal in ways that we were not expecting.
Yeah.
It has, it's got a really good kind of juxtaposition between the kind of, so the family lives in this kind of run-down mansion in the middle of nowhere. And it looks kind of, even though it is quite grand, it looks quite dingy.
Yeah.
To a certain extent, the grounds are all overgrown and dirty.
Yeah.
The house is kind of bare and compared to when the young girl meets the fairy, and it's this really vibrant, spectacular, looking at through a stained glass window.
Yeah.
And that really helps cut those two kind of aspects together really well.
Yeah. The costume design of the fairy is very, very nice. And she's slightly insecty.
Yes.
There's a Mexican director, I can't remember his name, he's a little bit rotund and he really likes bugs, and he directed Pan's Labyrinth. Anyway,
don't know, mate. Never heard it. Was he in Glasgow recently?
He was. But yeah, you're 100% right. The film in general is a very handsome one, I would say. Handsome, harrowing horror movie, definitely.
Yeah. And a nice 97 minutes. It's not too long.
We do like that, especially in a marathon setting.
Oh, yeah.
So, if you like Pan's Labyrinth, give In My Mother's Skin a try.
It also does, I will say, it also does a good job of, adding in themes of, the class differences, the way that the war is affecting the Philippines. It is a very Filipino movie.
Which I will say I know very little about. But
absolutely same. But it does enough to inform the viewer.
Yeah.
Without ramming it home and really just here's 5 minutes of exposition about what goes on in the Philippines during World War II.
Yeah, because obviously it's set in a grand house. So obviously the class tension is there. And it builds to a glorious climax.
I know it when I see it. I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
It's very well done.
Oh,
Oh.
this sounds like a big number.
I don't know. I'm between a 7 and an 8.
Okay.
It's again, it's one of those hard things when you watch 7 movies in a row. Having to compare them against each other in a setting like this makes it quite difficult. I'm probably going to give this a high 7.
See, I'm the same as you. Why are we agreeing on all of these? Ridiculous. Yeah. If 7.5 was allowed, which it's not, I would give it that.
No.
I'll say an 8 then, so one of us is giving it an 8. Sure.
So
sure.
averages out to 7.5.
Yeah, that's how you get around that.
Yeah.
Right, okay, trivia time. Oh no, there's no trivia, obviously.
There's no trivia.
There was a goof. Okay. The father wears a modern but a vintage styled watch. The case size is too big for that time period.
Fuck off.
I think it has to be downgraded to a 7.
Right, it's a 2. It's as bad as Dear David for that one goof. I mean, when we saw that watch, we were all screaming at the TV.
I thought someone was going to break my telly, honestly.
Who the fuck noticed that?
Oh.
Some weird watch and horror aficionado.
There are dozens of them.
Like, it's not like he's wearing a fucking Casio calculator watch.
Yeah, but it's vintage styled, but it's modern. You can tell. The case sizes, Alistair.
The case sizes. What the fuck?
So they probably paused the film and then took reference sizes of the surroundings, and then you can count the pixels. Then they were like, nah, there's too many pixels in that fucking watch. To IMDb, to be fair, I've got a funny feeling. So you can thumb up and thumb. I think you can thumb up and thumbs down IMDb trivia, and I don't think this one was particularly popular.
No.
Oh, no, well, goofs and trivia. Sorry.
Yeah, goofs and trivia.
Anyway, moving on from that bombshell. When Evil Lurks.
When Evil Lurks 2023. 2 brothers in rural Argentina find that a local man has been infected with a demon who is due to give birth to evil itself. They desperately try to rid their town of the horror, but their misguided attempts may have made things worse. Wait.
What?
Yep, Argentine movie.
We've watched more Argentine movies than I realised. If the quarry is definitely an Argentine.
It is Argentine. This movie is like, the plot is fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I have never seen something like this before,
yeah.
And again, I will say the cast do a fantastic job. Even the son, who is I can't remember the PC way to say this. Developmentally challenged.
Christ, yes.
Heavily autistic.
Yes.
Yeah. Basically to the point where he is, like, mostly catatonic.
Yeah.
But that does play into the story, not only in the terms of the father having to kind of contend with that, but also with the way that certain things affect that son compared to the rest of the family. It's a weird movie. It's again 2 in a row. It's a brutal movie.
Yes. Yes.
And
it's technically a possession movie, but it's very, very Evil Dead-y rather than, Exorcist.
Yeah, and content, but not style. Just to make that perfectly clear.
Well, it's no humor to it.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning.
The gore and things like that. It's like the more serious moments of Evil Dead, I would say.
Yeah, exactly.
It is very similar. It does share that DNA a bit. Sorry, that sounds like people made it. That's not true. But like the effects are really, really good. Excellent. It is really unique. It like layers on a lot of lore with
it takes
without
its,
really
it takes
trying
its
to.
lore. It takes its lore very seriously.
Yeah.
And again, doesn't it's not about hammering it home. It's
It does the opposite of that, I would say.
It lets it unfold. It lets just incidental dialogue or moments.
They do. I do think I remember that later on in the film, there's like a wee bit of. We need to explain this, otherwise this won't make sense to the audience. That's what it felt like to me. Like it did like become a bit over, because I think there's loads of rules for the possessions, and I think towards the end they were like, we have to explain this, because they're explaining it to the father character basically. Do you know what I mean? Like he kind of knows some, like everyone's got a vague idea of what happens and what not to do, but then they maybe don't know how to fix it. So then they get someone who's excellent at fixing problems, and they're like, telling them, right, this, that, and the other thing. And I did find the initial period of just everyone knowing it was a bit cooler. I thought that was a really cool way to just throw you in and be like, yeah, this is what happens. And you idiot, you've done this.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there like, what the fuck? What?
Yeah, it is like you are thrown into a very realistic world, except for the fact that these demons are just a part of life.
And it's like, is this the town? Is this the world? We didn't have a clue what we were tackling with this film immediately.
But you also, you don't know if it's the town or the world or the country or whatever.
Exactly.
But it never actually becomes necessary to know that. No.
No, it's just a wild fucking ride, right? It's, if you like, I will say, if you like Evil Dead, I don't think you can't like this. You must like this, right? You can't not like this. I mean, you must like it. It felt like this could have been part of the Evil Dead universe and the best sequel they've made in 25 years or something. I really liked it.
I genuinely don't have the same kind of like.
Fuck you! You're wrong. No,
I just don't. I can see the comparison, but I'm not as deep into that comparison as you are, which is like, I totally get where you're coming from. It's just it takes a lot for us to go, that's a pretty unique horror movie.
Yeah.
And it does that very well. In terms of rating, I'm going to give it an 8. I really enjoyed this movie. It's incredibly well done. It's not perfect. There are aspects and moments that I think could be improved upon. Again, like maybe giving a little bit more knowledge to the audience of certain aspects of this demonology. But in terms of a movie from start to finish, it is so enjoyable.
Yeah. I think the story is I think the story towards the very end was maybe not as compelling as it had been throughout to that point, I would say.
Yes, in The Quarry, not The Quarry.
The Quarry is Argentine.
Is an Argentine movie.
Argentinian, thank you. I think I'll give this the old 9. I think I'll give it a 9. I mean, it really plays the things I like, which is ironic because I always say I don't really enjoy possession movies, but when you consider these type of possession movies, I really like them, so it's hard. The scope is really good. Like the scope of the film, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because like initially you meet the characters, they've got a problem on their farm. They go to the next farmer over, and then it becomes, right, they're going to the town. And then the scope just felt really interesting and fresh. Usually these kind of films are confined to one place. But they really did a good job of making it feel like there was a problem facing. This is the world. The world's got issues. Like they should definitely do sequels to this film, just because it's interesting. And then I won't like them as much, obviously. But yeah, 9. Why not?
Go for it.
Yeah, fuck it. Sorry, were you going to say something about the scope?
Yeah, it has that kind of like disaster movie, action movie kind of where they're constantly on the move.
Yeah.
But puts that into this strange possession horror movie in a really smart way.
Yeah. It sure fucking does. So I've got a goof. Right.
So what? One of the characters' shoelaces was actually from Chile and not Argentina.
It's not quite as shit as the last one. But get ready, your rating might be affected. Characters try to move a man as far from their town as possible. They drive, supposedly for hundreds of kilometers on dirt roads, but clearly cross tarmac ones. They could get much further in the same time if they used paved roads. Paved roads, sorry. That's it. He's frowning.
What?
No, yeah.
What?
Someone took the time to write that. Yeah. It's a goof. It's a goof.
Is it?
Well, not. If the roads are perpendicular, then they're not going the same way. So I don't really know what they're trying to say, but it's fine.
No,
he's dumbfounded.
That's not fine. It's not fine. Oh God! Genuinely baffled by that. That actually might be worse than The Watch.
It might be actually. As I was saying it, I was like, he might not like this one more. I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll leave that aside. I think we know how we feel about that and move on to The Retaliators.
The Retaliators, the earliest movie we've watched, 2021.
Well, I was like, we need to fit in The Retaliators.
Yeah.
Carry on.
When Pastor John Bishop, not that John Bishop, his daughter is murdered for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, he takes it upon himself to hunt down his daughter's killers, putting everything he believes into question.
So, Your Honor, this is my defense.
Okay.
So, this movie reviewed really well.
And
it was in the 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, I believe. It was called a gory, fun treat. And I quite like gory, fun treats. Mm-hmm. So I'd been meaning to watch it, and I think last Halloween it slipped off the shortlist. It was shortlisted last year, it just slipped off the shortlist, so we didn't get into the Halloween-thon. So I was like, right, I need to get Retaliators watched. It's supposed to be really good. There's loads of metal musicians in it. That could be funny or fun.
There's Jacoby Shaddix, all of Five Finger Death Punch, and is it Nikki Sixx that's in it as well?
Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee has a cameo in it.
And a member of The Who, which is quite funny because our friend who was watching this loves The Who, hated this movie, and then went, I think that's The Who, because The Who and Jacoby Shaddix released a song.
Yep.
And members of Ice Nine Kills as well. Yeah, he was being tortured.
Oh, he was that dude.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
okay.
He was being tortured. And members of Ice Nine Kills, which I'm only aware of because they are like a supposed to be trendy horror metal band that people my age think are fucking shit. I don't listen to them. I just assume that's correct. But whatever.
Oh, so the band From Ashes to New are the church band that play in John Bishop's
someone
church.
did say, wow, this is a rocking Christian band. And I did say, Christian bands could be like that.
Yeah. Well,
From Ashes to New.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're all on the same record label. Or they must be. Or they all know someone rich that's involved in funding this weird film. So
they appear to be on the same Better Noise label.
Yeah. That'll be it.
Despite the fact all these musicians are in this movie, not the weirdest person to be in this movie. Brian O'Halloran, known for Clerks, for being Dante Hicks in Clerks, plays an intimidating man at the beginning of the movie. Why Brian O'Halloran was... I really like him, and I think he does a great job in... Clerks,
playing essentially himself.
He is not an intimidating man.
No, and
especially
he doesn't come back.
Now. He doesn't come back. He's just there.
I assumed it would be. It's to show how completely
Cucked he is.
beta soy John Bishop is. Yeah, at the start of the film. And then... So this... Oh, my God. This film is...
This film...
It started off... It started off with a flash forward. Do you call that in media res, or is that only when the story continues from that point on?
No, in media res, I think, is you start and then go back.
You start and then go back. All right, okay. It's the opposite of that then. And there was misgivings almost from the off because the general quality of this film felt low. In terms of, we for fun, we watch pure flicks movies, like God's Not Dead, Revelation Road, yeah. And it really felt like Revelation Road.
It felt like one of those movies.
Like, and after we started feeling like that, cut to a church, and we were genuinely like, "Is this a stealth pure flicks movie?" Initially,
I'm still not sure, to be perfectly honest with you.
It feels very right wing just in terms of when you look at the core message of the film being stand up and be a fucking man and sort stuff out here
with God.
You know, yeah.
With God,
the main character is a beat a sorry boy cuck, as we said. Still a Christian though, so that's not bad.
He's a pastor.
But then he learns pastor, yes, pastor bishop. You know, not on the nose slightly, and then he learns through adversity. It's basically I don't think you said you hadn't watched it, but the bit in the Hills of Eyes remake when the specky guy decides to fight back, they just liked that and they made that, but he's a pastor.
Yeah.
And the gore is terrible and mostly non-existent. Yeah. And there's weird it's like a zombie movie, but they can't make them zombies, so they make them lunatics that have
just been tortured to lunacy
so much that they're like the first scene, the flash forward scene, it looked like a zombie movie, and we're like, what the fuck? And they didn't really explain that. They just said, yeah, they've been tortured so much that they're mindless, they're scum anyway, so whatever. It also unfortunately has that big baldy guy in it, and we googled him during it, and he's been accused of bad things. So we're like, oh, for fuck's sake, is there any part of this movie that's going to be respectable?
It was so right. Moving on to like what we think and ratings. I felt this movie was a mess, to be honest.
Yeah, hot mess.
And I do not understand. All the positive reviews seem to be under the impression that this is a like comedy B movie horror, and none of that came through.
No, not really. Because the thing about the pure flicks movies like Revelation Road and stuff is they've got a total earnestness behind them, and that's what I felt this movie was the same.
Yeah, not one moment did I think, they're poking fun, they're having a laugh with this. Like, it seemed so straight faced. It was unreal.
Jacoby Shaddix plays like a psycho, but he is just unpleasant and stuff, and he's like, I'm crazy. It's like the Joker by Jared Leto.
Yeah. With the tattoos and I think this is a 3. I was debating giving it a 4, but I think just by how far it misses the mark, I can't give it that close to a 5.
So its problems are, I thought it was going to be at least a fun gore fest, but the gore and special effects are not good.
And they're not.
Are notable.
It also doesn't come quick enough. Like, it's very sparse in its, like, big horror moments.
Yeah.
My only piece of trivia for this is that...
What?
The Mark Menchaca that plays the cop, the detective investigating his daughter's murder, is married to Lena Headey, known for Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones.
Oh, yes. A funny fact about Retaliators. Again, this is internet stuff. But the central crux of the story involves... Fuck, I don't mind if I slightly spoil Retaliators. It's shit, don't watch it. It involves someone pumping gas, at a petrol station, right? And then, gets shanghaied.
Yep.
In Jersey, where this is set, it's illegal to pump your own gas.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Such a weird thing in America that certain states, it's like, nah, you can't pump your own gas.
You're not trusted with that. Someone has to do it for you.
And also, there are, just completely random aside, there are some states where they changed it from you can't to you can, and people were confused. They had no idea what to do. But that's besides the point. Don't watch this movie. It's bad.
Yeah, so I'd give it 4, I guess.
Ooh.
It's only because I'm like, it's an oddity, but it's not good or fun.
No.
My trivia for Retaliators is, the members of Five Finger Death Punch demanded to eat filet mignon for lunch for every day, or they would not work. Like the true tough working men that they are. They have had problematic political opinions in the past. I believe I'm not up on my Five Finger Death Punch.
Also, Ivan Moody,
not a metal band,
sure has been at least arrested for certain shitty things.
Possibly. Hey. There's a lot of pretty sures and maybes.
It's not possibly. He was arrested.
Oh, okay. Good. I like
more
the
than
live
once.
Checking. Good. That's fine. We can say things that are fact.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a bad movie with shitty people in it.
Yes, pretty much.
And only made $7,000 at the box office.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if... I mean, the reviews thing still throws me. It's odd to the point of... Did they buy fake reviews somehow? I don't really know. I mean, Rotten Tomatoes is an aggregator site, although I have heard in the past they've got in trouble for letting things slip through the net. Not intentionally, but things have slipped through the net past them. Things like that. Who knows? I don't know. But it's a fucking weird one. The movie's terrible.
Yeah. So
right.
Yeah. No. Can't be bothered talking about that movie anymore. It's shit.
Okay. Last up.
Last movie.
And at this point, we were like, oh God, better be good. Terrifier 2.
Terrifier 2, 2022. A year after the Miles County massacre from the first movie, Art the Clown returns to wreak havoc upon the local population. Sienna, whose father recently died of a brain tumour, goes out to a Halloween party with her friend Brooke. But when Art puts her family in peril, she needs to summon her courage to fight against evil itself.
So this was out for a wee while, but we watched Terrifier just before. Mm-hmm. Was it the week before?
Yeah.
2 weeks before?
Something like that.
Then Terrifier 2 was on the bill, because I'd seen Terrifier years ago. I think we both watched
We
it
both
ago.
watched Terrifier already by that point, and then the other people hadn't, and if we were going to watch Terrifier 2, we needed to watch it.
I'm going to assume you've seen Terrifier. Whatever. So Terrifier 2 injects a bit of lore into the series. The first one was kind of like almost a special effects showcase, you could argue. I really like it, but I mean, you could argue that a lot of it's kind of like vignettes of what can we get away with here kind of thing.
Like paper thin on plot, the first one.
Yeah.
It is literally just, this clown's going to murder people, have fun.
It's
and it
what
does it
we
well.
said the conference isn't, which is that we said the conference tries to put a bit of story into their slasher. Terrifier's like, nah.
Yeah.
It's a mystery, man. It's a mystery thing. You don't know what's really going on, but he's evil.
Yep. But now that movie did well, they had to go to Terrifier 2, and they couldn't just repeat Terrifier again. And yeah, they don't. They really like the scope of this movie is like tenfold on what Terrifier 1 is.
Yeah, they whack an hour onto the runtime.
Yes, they do. It's not a short movie.
It's nearly 2.5 hours long, which is rare for a horror film.
Unless it's Asian, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, they really expand that the world, the plot, the settings, like the set pieces, everything about this movie is much grander than the first one.
Yeah.
And
But they still feel similar in terms of how they look, though. Because
Totally.
Terrifier has this thing where, I don't know if it's just because it's shot on digital or whatever, it's a slightly ugly palette to it, which is totally works for the film, but it's a slightly cheap and ugly and nasty palette to it.
Yeah,
and they kind of still,
it's
this
like grimy.
movie looks as, this movie looks like that still.
Yeah.
They're not silly enough to be like, right, well, we can, I don't know, it's very, you can watch them back to back and they really flow into each other very nicely. It's just this one gives it, right, it's right, we'll just breathe a little bit and we'll be like, right, this is maybe a little bit of plot. They still don't explain a lot.
No, and probably to the movie's credit, to be honest.
Yeah,
The bits that go too hard, and the more you get into explaining everything, the less appealing these movies are going to be.
Yeah, they thankfully don't do the thing where you explain something which makes Terrifier 1 seem worse, which I feel a lot of sequels unfortunately do. But it's still Damien, is it Leone? Damien Leone? The writer, director, makeup, special effects. He might have had one or two other jobs in Terrifier. Did all that stuff for Terrifier 2 again, even though the budget, I'm sure, was... Well, it was like 20-fold increase, but that's because Terrifier 1 was like 10 grand or something absolutely fucking ridiculous.
35, but yeah, in terms of making a movie, they might as well be the same number. Whereas the second one was made for 250 grand. And when I found that out, that's impressive. The fact that they made that movie for 250 grand and the way it looks and how good the special effects are and how vast the different scenes are, the settings, what's the word I'm looking for?
Sets.
Is it? Yeah, sure. Yeah. All the different they have a lot of different sets in this one. So to make this movie for 250 grand is impressive.
I think they get away with it because Damien is a single-minded weirdo who's insanely talented. So he does all this fucking work himself. And hopefully gets a big, fat, juicy percentage of the back end.
Well, I'm sure he does. Because he was, writer, director, makeup, editor, plus.
I knew I'd forgotten something big. Yeah. Jesus. Maybe I shouldn't have said assume you know everything about Terrifier, but really the thing about Terrifier and Terrifier 2 is Art the Clown is a really good horror villain because these films are disgusting, really gruesomely violent and disgusting, and he does horrible, despicable things in them, cruel, malicious, evil things in them. But it's genuinely funny. You could call it a comedy horror because a lot of Art's performance is physical mime, it's very
He's excellent at
laugh out loud. Yeah, you laugh more than once, and it keeps everything. Even though the films look, I'd say, purposefully ugly, and you're looking at all this ugly stuff on screen and this misery, it's still kept light. Like, it manages to cut through all that with these moments of genuine humor, even in the middle of all of that, and then it goes back to awfulness. I think it's really, really cleverly done.
Yeah, the guy who plays Art, David Howard Thornton, is like he has no lines in Terrifier or Terrifier 2. He is a mute character, and the amount of personality, the amount of just glee that comes out of him. Yeah, like he can really like gorm his face, like really contort it, and that's difficult.
And the look of the character as well is fucking. It's very recognizable. Yeah, it's very. It felt iconic as soon as Terrifier came out. Really, it's like, what the hell? Yeah, it's grotesque at the extreme.
Yeah, in 20 years, they're going to be remaking this movie over and over and over again, like they did with Friday the 13th.
Damien will be nowhere near it. Yeah, it'll be.
It's going to be Halloween. It's going to be Friday the 13th because of that character. because
It's
that character
very-
is so well done.
What a good comparison to Halloween. That's good. Because Halloween was so low budget, so iconic.
Yeah.
You're not just here because you're pretty.
Yeah, on a podcast. So yeah, it's genuinely, it is difficult to mime like that. To bring across a performance like that is
Under all that latex.
But even without that, it's, it's the same way that like, which is a weird comparison, but when the same way that like the Muppets feel real, because the people behind them put in that energy, that it brings those things to life, and when you can't rely on words, having an actor that can really emphasize every action or facial expression, it wouldn't work without that actor.
Yeah. Funny you should say that, because Art the Clown was played by someone else before.
Yes, in
for
All
the
Hallows
shorts
Eve.
and all that. Yeah, I think All Hallows Eve is a collection of shorts.
Yeah.
So there's like 2 or 3 shorts or something like that. I've not watched any of them yet. I was meaning to, and I'm sure I will. But I wonder what the difference is there. I mean, it does feel like Damien spent that time just refining what he wanted to do the entire time, and we've got to a point now where he just fucking nailed it with 2 films. And the trailer for Terrifier 3 dropped not long ago, which I've not actually watched because I'm going to watch the film anyway.
I'm definitely going to watch the film. So if I know I'm going to watch a film, I don't watch trailers. It's no point.
I'm not aware if it's the last of a trilogy or if he'll keep doing them. Not even sure.
In 2023, Leon spoke about plans for a potential Terrifier 4.
Okay, good. That's fine. I mean, if nothing else, it's like the best practical effects going these days, I would say, by a country mile. If nothing else, if the plot shits the bed, all goes terribly wrong, it's still amazing to look at if you're into that kind of thing. You sick bastard.
Yeah, I mean, there was literally one of the deaths, and I think it was one of the earliest deaths, that I was like, this looks incredible.
Yeah.
This looks unbelievably good. Like, it's not, obviously I've never seen a beheading, but like, it looks real. It looks like I'm sitting going, how did you do this on that budget? How did you make this look so good on that budget?
Yeah. I'm sure. I mean, everyone involved. I mean, the actors involved and stuff. I'm sure they're not making a ton of money off these projects. It feels like a real passion project kind of thing. And
absolutely, and that is where a lot of big film budgets. That's where that budget goes. Like it's to the 10 million to pay Tom Cruise or Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
I get that, but still, like, to make a movie like that. This stands up with $1 million movies.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's a bunch of people that want to make this work and happen, working very hard, especially Damien, because fucking hell.
Yeah, he must not have slept for the entire time.
It's ridiculous. So, I mean, obviously liked it a lot. So, obviously a 9. I don't give 10s out to basically anything except The Thing. So, it's a 9, obviously.
Yeah, we have A Cloud So High on one end and The Thing on the other end, and that's it. They are your 1 and they are your 10.
But an easy 9. Like, some people didn't like the length of this one. I honestly didn't mind. And I genuinely thought this was the superior of the 2, although I would consider them one big, huge, long film, because apparently length doesn't mean anything to me. They work together totally seamlessly.
This movie improves on everything from the first one and does it spectacularly. I am the same. It gets a 9. I had a great time with this movie. It's so fun. It's so fun.
But it's really
It's horribly violent and disgusting.
And you need to have, if you didn't find that sense of humor there, then it would be a pretty harrowing time.
Yeah.
I mean, Christ, if my mother watched this, oh my God.
Yeah, I watched Werewolves Within with my mum, and she found that too much.
Wow.
Yeah. This movie
and that's
would
more comedy.
that is much more comedy and not a huge amount of violence in it.
I mean,
that was too scary.
If you
for her.
talked about the scenes of Terrifier, Terrifier 2 without giving if you talked to someone about what happens in this film with no context about any of the humor or anything like that, I mean, you would just sound sick and weird. Because on paper, it is fucking sick and weird.
I mean, to be honest, you have to be a bit sick and weird to enjoy these movies. And stay around for the mid-credits scene because everyone's favorite wrestler makes an appearance.
Yes, we knew there was a cameo, and will we say who it is? I don't know why we wouldn't.
Yeah, it's Chris Jericho.
It's not a spoiler, but we were like, Chris... And as the credits rolled, we were like, did we fucking miss Chris Jericho somehow?
Yeah.
And then, no, mid-credits, it's like, no, that's just fucking Chris Jericho right there. We were like, is he makeup or something?
No, absolutely. Yeah, because he's in the credits, and we're like, where was he? And then we were like, oh, that's Chris Jericho
sitting there eating the pie or whatever the hell he was doing.
Yeah, I can't remember what he was eating, but yeah. It's such a weird cameo. Such a weird cameo. He must have just liked Terrifier and was like, "Can I be in this?"
Yeah, fuck it, why not?
Yeah, but no, like especially if you like Terrifier 1, watch Terrifier 2.
Oh, you've already seen it then. But I think
highly
Terrifier
recommend Terrifier 2.
I think Terrifier and Terrifier 2 are like definitely. I see people. I occasionally frequent the r/horror subreddit. And some people are sniffy about Terrifier and Terrifier 2. They don't like it. And I would say it's probably like one of the best things happening in horror right now for the last wee while.
This is franchise material.
Yeah.
It really is. And I say that both as a good thing and a bad thing. But it really is. Like, they have created a new horror villain.
Yeah.
Like, and an iconic one. That I think will stand the test of time. I think in like 20 years, people will look back on this the same way they look back on the classic horror movies like that we look back on from 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah, I'd hope so. And like I was on an article about like, celebrities dressed up for Halloween. And one of them was bloody Art the Clown in amongst all the usual dross and shit you get. And I was like, fucking hell, like... And there was a really good costume because he just looks exactly like Art the Clown. Yeah.
It's amazing what money can do,
Yeah,
Donald.
Exactly. He probably paid more than the budget of this film.
Yeah.
Speaking of, my trivia for this was, while originally planned for a limited theatrical release for a single weekend, the movie reached top 10 at the box office on multiple weekends, and its theatrical run lasted well past Halloween. The film domestically grossed over $10 million and a $250,000 budget, a 3,900% return on investment, making it the most profitable film of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently.
It made total $15.7 million off a 250 budget. And the fact that it's a horror movie, the fact that like everything about it would not suggest that this is going to have a successful cinema release.
Yeah.
And I'm not meaning that to the discredit. I'm meaning that more for the way cinema audiences view movies.
Yeah, it's extreme.
The fact that
hard
made
18
that much off its budget, I am amazed and very happy because it means that Terrifier 3 will have a good budget.
Yeah. But Damien better fucking work his socks off.
Oh yeah, that is the thing. I don't want anyone else doing any of those other parts, and hopefully because he is a psychopath that like wants that is so invested in his passion project that he'd be like, no, I'm not hiring an editor. I'm not hiring another makeup person.
We'll find out that he's like Stanley Kubrick on set, and he's like an absolute tyrant and a bastard.
Art the Clown is just crying between takes.
I'll be like, well,
auteurs and all that.
You want to make an omelette? Okay, so that was our 7 films. Good time. Good time was had by all, I feel.
And a good mix between shit, good, like fun, dark, gory. Like it was a good mix, especially since we didn't watch as many as that we usually do.
Yeah.
Pretty successful Halloween.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Shut up. We did break our tradition of watching VHS movies, so we'll need to catch up.
Yes.
With VHS 85, which is one of the weaker entries. Yay.
Which, going from VHS. Oh.
Oh, dear.
And by the way, VHS 1 doesn't hold up as well as it did. When did it come out? 10 years ago?
When we were talking about it when we first made... Is that...
Yeah, basically. When did VHS come out?
It held up
12,
held up for 5 years, then it started declining. Is that right?
Yeah, basically, it's just some of the aspects of it are a bit that haven't
Ropey.
aged particularly well.
Right, you can ignore anything we previously said about VHS then. It's a trash franchise. So, next episode we'll be covering Mark Jenkins' Cornish folk horror Ennis Main. Spelt Ennis Main to confuse people.
Yep, that's not because it's in Cornish.
No.
Just to confuse you.
Yep, I was confused. You were confused too before you looked it up. Don't pretend otherwise.
Oh, well.
Right, we'll catch you then.
Off to Cornwall.
To Cornwall.
See you there.